everyone. This is Andre from Washington. I know that these rallies that Trump throws distresses you very much just from your humanitarian standpoint. But from the viewpoint of someone who's trained in a war, it's like you never interfere with the enemy when they're committing suicide. And the enemy will kill themselves at this rate. And the other half is going to wake up and want his head. And that's how it works out. And I can see it going on now. Things are not becoming as popular as he would like. One of these rallies, they're going to storm the goddamn stage on him. Watch. Anyway, take care, my friend, and looking forward to your show tomorrow. Bye.
I understand where you're coming from on that one. Why even bother? Why even bother trying to save these anti-vax nutter butters? Like, what's the point, right? I mean, they're kind of taking themselves out. But ultimately, the perspective that I come from is I want to preserve human life at all costs. At all costs. I think human life comes before anything. I can't think of a single exception to that rule for me. Now, I'm sure there probably is one, but still, human life above all else. Now, that being said, one more problem I had with your assessment is the idea that we're their enemies. Now, I know they view us as their enemies, but that's part of their black and white, us versus them, good versus evil thinking. They have to create an enemy, and we're it. You know, we're the liberal, leftist, libtard cuckflakes that they absolutely hate and will do anything to destroy. I don't want to fall into that mindset. That's my concern. That's why I don't really view it the same way that they do. Aside from all of that, them not getting vaccinated and just kind of destroying themselves from the inside out as a result is actually pretty detrimental to our society in general. Not just to them, but it hurts all of us, particularly because they're creating breakthrough cases and they're allowing variants to mutate and flourish and things like that. That's why it concerns me. I do understand where you're coming from, though, and I appreciate the phone call. Brody McCullough, my aunt is a respiratory therapist, and she's distressed by the number of COVID cases here in Indiana, but she still won't get the vaccine. What can we do? I've tried everything. At a certain point, it's in their hands. There's nothing, you know? I fucking hate it that we can't convince these people. Like, they just want to be fools and get themselves killed for no reason. But at a certain point, what is there to do, you know?
Hi, I'm Olivia, and I'm from Minnesota, and I have a question for you. How come people from the southern part of the U.S. are a lot more, like, extremist Christian than, like, I don't know, the northern part of the U.S.? I mean, don't get me wrong, there are definitely extremists up north, but why are most of them are concentrated in the southern part of the U.S.? All right, thanks. Hope you have a great day.
I appreciate that. There's an easy answer to that question, surprisingly, and the answer is because that's kind of how things shook out after the Civil War. When the Civil War was going on, there were plantations with slaves and things like that in, Mississippi and Arkansas, Louisiana, just that whole entire area. Eventually, the Confederacy lost the Civil War, but the hearts and minds of the people didn't really change. It stayed the same. During the Civil War, West Virginia broke off from Virginia because most people wanted to go with the North against slavery. But there's still people in West Virginia to this very day who say the South will rise again. 150 years later, or whatever it is. And they're still saying this stuff. The South will rise again. They're not even in a state that was with the South. It's the culture and the heritage that carried on through the generations. And you can actually look at maps and see where, like, rivers and lakes and things like that, that's where people mostly gathered. You can see most of those areas vote blue if they were near like a river or a lake, because big populations have diversity, and diversity allows people to be a little bit more open-minded and hate a little bit less. The more sparsely populated areas are stuck in their ways and aren't going to change their minds, basically. So, yeah, that's largely why.
Hi, Owen. My name's Hayden from California. I had a bit of a different one that I'm not sure if you actually could have an answer for, but I'm pursuing a career as a firefighter, and it's a career that at least in my experience, I tend to see is filled with people who are a lot more prominently conservative, prominently more religious. And I was just wondering if you maybe had kind of some advice going into that kind of atmosphere, because a fire crew is supposed to be like your second family. That's always kind of been the tradition with it. And I just don't know how I'm going to be able to be comfortable with an environment like that. So I was wondering if you maybe had kind of advice, if it might be similar to dealing with a naturally conservative religious family, or like a bloodborne family. So, yeah, thanks. Love the show.
So basically, you are trying to become a firefighter, or you are a firefighter, which is largely a conservative field, but you have to be able to trust the people that you work with. That's my assessment of it. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. I understand the problem there. I understand that you may worry about having like a QAnoner or a Trumpist nutbag working next to you, which are people who expressly hate people like us. This us versus them attitude comes out. They hate us and believe that we would be better off dead in a lot of cases. How can you trust somebody like you need to, fellow firefighters, when they're like that? And the answer is, I think they're perfectly trustworthy, because this is almost like a form of nationalism, this group loyalty, this deep loyalty that you have. Nationalism is like this deep loyalty to your country or your state or whatever, right? Well, this is deep loyalty to your fellow firefighters, and you find the same kind of culture among police. That's why it's such a problem. With firefighters, I think that it can be a good thing, though. It's not necessarily a bad thing. But that means you're going to have to hide certain parts of your life and your personality if you really do want to be able to trust these people. Maybe don't talk about politics with them. That may be your only option in the field that would guarantee your safety when you're dealing with people that are so completely unhinged from reality, really. Good luck, though. I hope things turn out okay, and I hope you find a happy medium. Maybe you can find a firefighting outfit, like what do you call them? Like one of the firefighting groups or whatever that don't have these completely outlandish, off-the-wall beliefs. I hope for the best. Good luck with it.